Wait for it, and we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blaze podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans and one chaos coordinator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we're going to let the queen of feral ladies, Miss Marisa Wolf, introduce herself to our viewers and listeners at home.
Amazing. Hello, I am in fact feral. My name is Marisa Wolf. I write science fiction and fantasy that ends in hope, no matter how hard the circumstances might be to get to that point.
And if you didn't get the inside joke, we link to her YouTube channel. Check it out. That is the name of her podcast, Feral Ladies Podcast.
It is.
Where they get nerdy with feral ladies, obviously.
So
don't worry,
feral.
Everybody has had their rabies shot. We are good to go.
We don't bite.
Oh, well, see, even better. So the next part of the introduction to your listener is how we first met. So Marissa and I actually met smuggling exotic boozes for the syndicate. But we want you to know we made the Kessel run in 10 seconds. So eat your heart out, Harrison Ford. And since then, we've just been rolling in the credits and living the life of leisure.
That's right. We're just fancy and filthy rich and have all the booze we want.
Absolutely. I mean, isn't that the life?
Yeah. Yes, that's kind of the dream right there.
I mean, just get in your car, drive around. I guess the RV people do that already. Man, I got to get to that level.
That was pretty cool. I only did it for a couple of years, but I'm not going to lie, it was amazing.
So what all places did you go see?
We were mostly, so we did the Texas to Maine run. So probably opposite of bootlegging. But we did Texas and pretty much hugged the coast because I am at heart a beach girl. We spent a summer in the North Carolina mountains, spent some time in northern Georgia, but basically, yeah, that like Gulf Coast up.
So you got a nomadic soul?
I do, except I also really like to have my stuff. So I think it's one of those good, like I would love to RV for like 6 months at a time and then go home to like my dragon horde. It'd be good.
So if you're going to have just one location to home base, is it going to be somewhere tropical in the south where you can go in the winter, or are you going to go up north and get the weather seasons and all?
That's a really good question, JR. My husband is a Southern boy, and he very much wants to be below the Mason-Dixon line. So likely we will do that. But I'm going to tell you, these 50-degree mornings are like, they're my jam. So I don't know. Maybe like a North Carolina, like somewhere towards the mountains so we get seasons still. Maybe.
But doesn't that take you farther away from your beaches?
It does. It does. But they still exist. There's a couple hours away. And the ocean's getting closer all the time. So maybe
I was about to make that joke.
Right. It'll come to me.
Just wait a couple of years. I'm told global warming will take care of that for you. Fine. Beachfront property.
I'm told everything is beachfront property in the future. So
yeah, although some of it is real, not in our lifetime, but apparently Africa is splitting in half. Have you been following that?
Ooh, I have not. No.
So apparently the seismic tectonic plates are shifting again. I mean, we're talking millennia, but
I mean, sure, yeah.
At a certain point in time, Africa will become two land masses. Now, whether they'll be two continents or considered islands at that point, future geologists can decide.
Yes, that is future people's issue to deal with, the nomenclature.
Although, who knows? We might come full circle and go back to Pangea.
It's true. I mean, right? That's what they're just slowly drifting around to the other side now. It's fine.
Right. And then the other fun one is supposedly the magnetic poles are shifting, which means north becomes south and south becomes north weather-wise. It gets interesting.
Yeah, I will be intrigued because that does seem like it could happen in our lifetime.
So yeah, I mean, it happens. They said, I haven't done, like, I'm not a geologist. I haven't done deep dives on it, but a cursory look says every 60,000 years. But I mean, since they weren't 60,000 years ago out there with, sensors and whatnot to test it.
Yeah.
How much of that's legit and how much of is guessing?
Yeah. Yeah. Just based on like what we think the pattern is. Yeah.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how this, I mean, we might destroy ourselves before we get there with all these, Jurassic Park vibes we've got going on.
You know what? The dire wolves, if that's how I go, that's how I go.
They've also been planning in Siberia to bring back the woolly mammoth because they got the woolly mammoth DNA from the tundra. And I guess a baby woolly mammoth died so quickly that it flash froze.
It has like everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So it had all of everything it was eating. We had its fur to test.
Yeah.
everything. I suspect everyone thinks that it was an avalanche. I suspect it's also possible it fell in water because
Oh.
that would do it pretty quickly too.
Or it could just be, like the day after tomorrow, we just got like a really quick ice age on top of our existing ice age. I'm sure that's very plausible.
That, everyone says Final Destination scarred them because of that log scene. For me, it was the day after tomorrow where they burned the books.
Everything.
That hurt.
Everything.
That
That did
just
hurt. That movie
crushed my
sucked.
soul a little bit. I'm like, books.
Yeah. No thinking of the books.
Like when I plan my doomsday scenario, I'm going to the place where all the books are. Like that's where I'm pulling up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe we could go to a Walmart with a big enough book section because they've also got the kerosene and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Or like a Costco.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
even better. Sam's Club, BJ, something. Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is you need one that's got a garden center because you're going to need to be able to plant your own stuff. But don't worry, I have watched The Martian. I know how to do this now. All you got to do
the easiest way to have water is to make it be water. I am ready. I've got my science.
We got this.
Yes.
We can science the hell out of it.
Science the hell out of it. I'm ready.
Yeah, I cleaned it up for family friendly.
See, they're so good. I followed your lead. Ready?
Oh, there you go. I mean, I cuss like I said earlier when no one's looking, but we got to pretend we're civilized and stuff.
A little bit here and there. It's fine. That's why I have this that Joy Wondry made me. My little F-bomb.
Oh, awesome. She makes some cool stuff.
Yeah, she's amazing. I love her.
She's sewn some adaptive stuff a few years ago for some friends of mine that they needed stuff. So kind of cool. I'm always amazed by people that can make things with their hands.
Right?
Like, that is not a skill set I have. I mean, I can murder plants, and that's about the extent of it.
Some of them stay alive for me. Got some.
Well, knock on wood. This year, so far, the garden is alive.
Nice.
And I went out and I invested in one of those like metal tub trough style above ground gardens.
Ooh, fancy. Yeah.
Because I can't dig where I'm at because they buried all the power and the cables and whatnot.
I wasn't sure where that was going, but that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we might have buried other things, but we also have such a high water table because we're so close to the coast.
Yeah.
That means they didn't bury them very deep. So if you're going to garden, you pretty much lost the ability because you're going to be like cutting the power. And I've heard that saying about peeing on the electric fence. So I know what happens when you cut power cables.
Yeah, wouldn't recommend. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be over in a flash, but
literally. Yes.
Yeah, right. It would hurt for that brilliant 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
It's not your problem anymore.
Yeah, I'm too pretty to die right now. So. All right. We're gonna let the haters send the comments in on that one. It's okay. I know. All right. So before we get started, we do have to do the religion questions. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Star Wars, Star Trek, or Firefly?
Why choose?
I read those books too.
Right? Genuinely, why choose? So I joke that I am a second generation nerd because my father raised me correctly in his faith, and his faith was both Star Wars and Star Trek. So I came to Firefly later in life. I was a full-grown adult when it came out, but I love it too. And why choose?
Okay.
My thorough answer.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, there are plenty of other awesome properties too that will be interesting to see what else comes out in our lifetime.
Right.
Right now they're we're out of ideas. Let's recycle the old ones phase.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping they move into something new. And
more stuff can happen. I also really love Stargate.
Oh, absolutely.
It's also a foundational text from Marisa, I think.
Yeah, that's, we ask people like if the authors, if they could stop everything for one franchise to write in, like what would it be or which examples? And Stargate is one of mine.
Yeah, I would. Oh man, I would love to write in Stargate. That'd be amazing.
Right. It would be awesome. Stargate, I'd be down for that one. Skyrim.
Oh,
totally.
nice.
I'd totally do the Elder Scrolls.
Be cool.
And Fallout?
Yeah.
Another one for me, just because it's awesome. I love the kind of snarky, upbeat 50s vibe to the post-apocalypse.
Yes.
I don't know what you would call that. I don't know, what is it? Nuclear punk? I don't know.
Something punk. Yeah, it's probably something punk.
You throw punk after everything and you sound cool.
Yeah. Well, now they've got like dirt punk and solar punk, and every time I hear a new one, I'm like, that sounds amazing. That's so much fun. I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you get the spiked hair to go with it.
Right. Well, it's hard to get the fun colors. So.
Well, they did the punks did the fun colors.
They did. Yeah.
So that you're already halfway there.
We did. Oh, shoot. What was oh no, my brain just stopped. The dock wagon from That RPG game. Oh no. It's cyberpunky. It's like magic came back all at once. And now like some people got turned into like elves and everything.
That sounds familiar. I've heard someone mentioning that, but I can't remember which it
Yes.
is. Was it
It's definitely
Shadowrun?
it is Shadowrun. Thank you. My brain was like, nope. All you have is punk now. So Shadowrun, one year, a Dragon Con passed, a group of us dressed up as the Dock Wagon. And so we were there to save people and provide combat medicine. And we all had like really fun colored wigs and it was so much fun. It was good times.
Okay. Yeah, so and I like dinosaurs, so I would definitely do the Primeval universe, Primeval and Primeval New World. Are you familiar with that one?
I vaguely, yes, only because I like dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically it is like X-Files, but with dinosaurs and time anomalies. And so the idea is all of the cryptids are actually ancient creatures coming through time anomalies, and this organization kind of like pushes them back through. And you have this really cool in one of the like season 2, I think, of the New World one, because there was one set in the UK and one set in Canada, and they stopped making it not because the fans weren't loving it, but just it was so expensive for all those practical effects. It's one of those ones where they could bring the spirit of it back because technology has caught up with the concept. I think I'd love to see it, but they had this like Hunt for the Red October vibe. But this nuclear sub accidentally goes through one of those time anomalies, and it's like standing off against a prehistoric whale.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that sounds
You can
amazing.
swallow it if it's not careful. But I mean, it's got nuclear, warheads. So I don't know. It's kind of a fun concept that just gives you so many ideas.
Yeah. Oh, that's really fun. Yeah, because you could mash anything up.
Right. And any cryptid you think of, you could find something similar. Because I suspect most of the cryptids come from bones we didn't understand.
Right. We didn't know. Or mangy bears. Right, that's the answer. It's always like some kind of fossils or a mangy bear. That is
or swamp gas.
Swamp gas. Sure, yeah.
But yeah, so it's a fun concept. Although sliders would be cool too because the parallel dimensions.
Yeah.
I love sliders. I don't know if any of the younger kids are going to recognize that one. That was big in the 90s. Okay, big is a strong word. It was out in the 90s, but it
was definitely a thing. We rewatched it. It was on some streaming service a couple years ago, and parts of it hold up really well. But I cannot let somebody mention that show without going, sliders. It's very important.
Yeah, it's right up there with Tremors and Sharknado, where whenever you question your own writing ability, you just watch some of that and you're like, oh, I'm not so bad after all.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at telling a story. All right.
But I like cheesy B-rated whatever, so it doesn't bother me.
So much fun. And I love the what if. Like that's really the thing I was there for, is the what if of it all. So
you see some of the sliders concepts of like some of the weirdness in the various parallel universes with was it Orville did that? Remember where some of the planets they landed on? I mean, you get the same kind of like weird takes on society.
Yeah, and you get that with Stargate too.
Yeah. My only problem with Stargate was that none of the population density matched with the amount of genetic diversity you would need. Yeah. I know that's a budgeting thing.
Yeah.
But that always irked me. I'm like, is that really enough people where they're not all inbred after a year? I mean,
yeah, after a year, maybe. But they did just find there was a pack of Neanderthals in France that was isolated completely for 50,000 years. So very inbred for sure, but 50,000 years they lasted. So
that is interesting. I mean, I wonder, did they exist slowly, or were they entirely in isolation, or were they going out and knocking some other Neanderthals and dragging them back? Right.
The article I read was that they were completely genetically separate, so they didn't bring anybody back in. And that is part of why it ended where it ended, 50,000 years. But they did last.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I found a channel that's got a bunch of videos that I suspect it's like weird but true. And I wonder how much of the but true is actually true.
Right.
But
like, it is weird. I will agree.
Right. But supposedly they're like, oh, we solved the Roanoke and the Croatoa, and we found the 9th Roman Legion.
Totally.
I kind of like when I read that, I'm like, oh, okay. When I saw some of the comments, I'm like, okay, maybe these people, I'll have to double check their sources. But then I got a little bit sad. I like the mystery. Sometimes not knowing is fun.
Yeah, I agree. Again, it's the what if. I would say part of why we're speculative authors.
Yeah, I think sometimes if you find all of the answers, life can get a little bit dull.
Yeah. Who wants that?
Yeah. All right. So because we are polytheistic here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, Game of Thrones, The Wheel of Time, or Chronicles of Narnia?
Narnia was like my imprinted fantasy. It was like the very first thing I read that I was obsessed with when I was like 7 or 8. I did feel mildly betrayed by it when I found out it was an allegory, which is not fair. That's not really the thing that allegories do, but I felt it in my little like 10-year-old heart. So then I would say Wheel of Time.
Okay.
Grow up.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that my closet didn't go anywhere cool.
The number of times I checked just to be sure.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe it's because we have closets and not like
wardrobes,
right?
Yeah.
Wardrobes.
Yeah, I did. I was just telling friends of mine this last weekend that when I was a kid, and I'm sure this was after I read Narnia, I was absolutely positive that if you walked into any like chain location, if you could find the right way out, you could come out in any other one in the world. So like if you walk into a McDonald's, you found the right way out, you could show up in like the McDonald's in Paris or whatever. I was positive this was true when I was a kid.
They what was it? Red One, I think, the one with the Rock and the Christmas one, where he was like, they played on that. Like Toy Stories would open anywhere they needed. Like you go out the back door of a toy store and you end up anywhere you want to.
That's pretty cool.
So so that idea has been used and used well.
Good job, The Rock.
He stole your idea, like totally.
I know. I had it before, but it's fine. I mean, I was a 7. I was like 7 or 8, so I probably didn't patent it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll tell him he can make it up to you by like a bottle of scotch or something.
I mean, we could just hang out. He could just like pimp my next book.
That would work. Yeah, like, or he could read it in his like super intense voice.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Wait, would you want him to read it, or like he's been doing some raps and some modern interpretation of music lately? Would you want him to like make it musical? Or
no, let him audio read it. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Okay, so just the dramatic reading.
He's got a great voice for that. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, there's a couple of actors you see. I mean, like I could totally see them doing audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
I probably couldn't afford them, but I could see them doing it.
They would be so great at it, though. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. You remember that guy from Police Academy that did all the beatboxing and the weird voices?
Yes.
Dude could totally rock a book.
He could do the whole thing. Yeah, he could be the like sound booth crew all just by himself.
I assumed that they were actually adding that in post, but I dug into it because IMBD's website has some of the trivia, and nope, he was doing all of it.
He was doing it. Yeah, he's highly talented individual.
So I guess he's a qualified ventriloquist. I think.
Oh my goodness! All right, I love that.
He just didn't have the dolls because he had guns instead.
I mean, look, whomst amongst us if we could make that choice?
Absolutely. Although, when you're talking about the other childhood, did you ever read was it the one where the toys went into the cupboard and they came out alive when you opened it?
Indian in the Cupboard?
Yes. Can you imagine adult nerds having that when you've got like your Warhammer and your Mech Assault and whatever other
like 95 dragons I have in reach? Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That might be dangerous if we let the
slightly dangerous, but so delightful, I think.
That's probably why they gave it to a kid. It was safer.
Yeah, for the best.
That actually made a halfway decent movie a couple years ago.
Oh, nice! I didn't see it.
Yeah, I watched it with the kiddos.
Oh,
they stay pretty faithful to it, I think.
Nice, that's awesome.
And again, I was disappointed that I didn't have that cupboard.
Yes,
it's totally the skeleton key though. Like he has one of those old school skeleton keys to lock
the magic key does it. Yeah,
it's got to be the magic key.
I would agree. Yeah.
We need to bring those kinds of locks back because there's just something cool about those keys.
They're so cool. I agree. It's in storage currently because we lived in our RV for several years. But I bought a 1940s steamer trunk at a yard sale in college. Yes. And it's been locked since like 1960 something when they lost the key. And I have left it locked because it's way more fun to imagine what's in there. But like I want to know what kind of key it had. Like I think it was a cool key in the 40s. Probably not a cool skeleton key, but it's probably pretty cool.
I don't know. On the one hand, you could open it. It can be like, was it Al Capone's safe? And
right. Yeah, it could Totally.
So
Yeah.
maybe don't film it live if you do decide to open
Yeah,
it.
I don't think it'll be live streamed. But I'm pretty sure because they're like, we haven't opened it. We don't remember what's in there. You can have whatever it is. It's probably like a shoe, or like
Is
a
it heavy? Could it
shelf.
be like money?
It's heavy-ish, but it's not like any heavier than I think a steamer trunk would be. Because
So it's
they
definitely
were
not
thick.
gold doubloons.
Yeah, it's
Man.
probably not like Fort Knox's gold or anything, but
I mean, they're not using it. What,
what do they need it for? I could use
right?
it. So, but as long as
Maybe
it's
it's a
gold,
magic trunk.
exactly. It could be
It
the door
goes
to
somewhere.
Narnia.
That's right. That's what I was going to suggest. Maybe it went to Narnia.
I've had it the whole
Well,
time. Damn it.
oh, and you've been wasting it. You're gonna have to go to the.
Sitting on it. Yeah, just
That's
putting
right.
plants on it and things.
All right. So one of the crying shames of adulthood is we stop asking each other the important questions. So we are bringing it back here on the
Let's
Blasters
go.
and Blaze
Yep.
podcast. Are you ready for this most important of questions?
I am so ready.
All right. What is your favorite dinosaur?
Triceratops.
Oh, without even hesitation.
None. I love it.
Okay. What is it about the Triceratops? That's one of my favorites too, just because of the look. But
so the look is amazing. And then I would also say it's probably affected at least a little bit by Sarah from Land Before Time. She was a sassy, sarcastic little girl. And she did the little stomps and that fringe. Oh my God, I love it. I love her. I love Triceratopses. I love them.
yeah, you can definitely tell what era somebody was a kid by their favorite dinosaur. Because was it like Land Before Time? Was it the
Jurassic
show
Park.
Dinosaurs, Jurassic
Yeah.
Park,
Yep.
the Dinobots? I mean, like there's a
Mhm.
couple of iconic shows that involve dinosaurs, and which ones they pick generally indicates which show they were watching.
Yeah. I love the Dinobots. Oh man, I love the Dinobots. But yeah, they had a good. I like their Stegosaurus. I think the best, but I think it's Triceratops.
Yeah, the Dinobots was one, and then they had Power Rangers. They had
Yeah,
one where
they
their
had a dinosaur
Zoids or
one.
whatever was a dinosaur.
Yep.
That was a badly acted one, but I mean, after that, your fight scenes, you forgive a lot about fight scenes after you've watched an episode or two of that.
I feel like that's fair. Yeah.
The funny thing, well, I don't know, funny, haha, but like the original Red Power Ranger ended up getting arrested. He was walking down the streets or the highway in California naked, waving a samurai sword.
Oh no!
Cars.
Oh no, sir!
And I'm like, this is why we don't let them do drugs.
Yeah, drugs. It's probably hard.
No, I'm just imagining like he stabbed his roommate. He lived, so that's why I could say you can kind of laugh at it.
Okay,
The disagreement that led to this. And can you just imagine the doctor's like, yeah, we got a stab wound from a sword, and they're like, wait, what? Are you messing with me? Do you know how little sleep I've got? Like, I just imagine that's like the wound they never expect to actually have to do. Swords.
Right. Just like the red, like an actual sword, not like a dinner knife, but like a sword.
Right.
Okay. Like
I mean, I imagine the wounds are still the same, but just the stories they could tell about that one.
Right. What it actually was. Yeah. I have a sword. I got a sword as a gift at LibertyCon a couple years ago.
Oh, cool.
And occasionally, this kind. I feel like she said it's a gladius.
It's a gladius.
Yes. I'll whisper it in case I'm wrong.
Looks like a Roman sword.
Yes. And I occasionally invite my husband upstairs so I can stab him for a scene so I can write it correctly. And he does not enjoy that invitation. I don't know why, but here we are.
Weird.
Yeah, strange.
Maybe if you gave him his own sword.
Oh, then we could duel? That'd be fun.
Or you could get like the rattan ones or the Nerf ones where they wrap a pool noodle around like a stick. You could totally act those fight scenes out.
Totally do it. Yeah.
We used to do that with the kids when they were little.
Yes, that's very smart.
Although we had legit Nerf swords, they didn't last very long. I wouldn't suggest those. They break really quickly. It's kind of expensive.
Fair. Yeah.
And we've been better off just getting like a tree branch, wrapping it in like a pool noodle, like I said.
Oh, a pool noodle. That'd actually be pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, but it pads the wood. The wood gives it the firmness so it doesn't break on you. Nerf, just they don't make Nerf like they used to, I guess.
I guess not, man. How can you?
But Yanni, that's contagious, man.
I know. I'm so sorry. I am such an old lady. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. All right. So the last part of the religion question, because we're going to tap into your inner childhood cool person. What's your favorite zoo animal?
The maned wolf.
Oh, why?
Yes. They are so goofy looking. I love them. They have like these absurdly long legs and kind of big ears. I think they're not even entirely wolves. They might be one of those. And I always love the animals that the proportions are just a little off from what you expect. So like the maned wolf, I just love how tall they are. They look like they're walking on stilts, but they could still, F you up. Or like the fennec foxes that have those huge, huge ears. I think any animal with some kind of outsized extremity is my jam. That's my take.
Okay, so you like the strange. You got a taste for the strange.
I like the adorably strange, to be fair.
So you're a fan of giraffes then?
I love giraffes. I fed them at the zoo in Houston. I am the full-grown adult who will go to the zoo whether or not like my nieces and nephews want to go. Like I will just go because I love it.
Wait, you're supposed to be a kid and go to the zoo? I thought everyone got to go to the zoo.
I go to the zoo all the time and I love it so much.
I like the zoo. It's awesome.
I love it. And my sister-in-law is a zookeeper. So come on.
Oh, that's even cooler. Do you get like sneak in backstage?
Yeah. Not yet, but she said there are tours that I can do. So we'll do that.
That is awesome. Yes. Wait. What kind of animals does she work with? Anything cool?
Yes. She works currently with, I definitely know this answer, but like Shadowrun, it has left my brain. Herbivores. She doesn't work with the capybaras, but like animals like the capybaras. She's gonna watch this and be like, "You're exactly wrong, Marisa." But something. It's like the herbivore, the large herbivores she works with.
Okay.
She has done training with otters. I don't know. She just does cool stuff. Every time she has a story from work, I'm like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" It's like my.
Has she played with alligators? Or
right. I don't think so. I think that stayed with my side of the family, but
okay. I mean, not everyone can be as cool as you, Marisa.
Not everyone can get headbutted by an alligator. That is true.
I mean,
probably for the best, honestly.
Maybe. Although I'm always like, you get these weird stories out of Florida, and part of it's just their sunshine laws mean that the weird stories actually make the news, whereas in the other jurisdictions they just don't talk about it.
Right. Like nobody needs to know.
What happens in weird Houston stays in weird Houston, but what happens in Florida,
everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
But they arrested this guy, and he had like depleted uranium in his trunk.
Oh dear.
And he was driving drunk with a drunk alligator in the back. And I'm like, first off, who gave the alligator booze?
Mm-hmm.
Two, like, obviously you don't drive drunk, but like the depleted uranium, like,
I have so many questions that I don't actually want the answer to.
Right? Like, do you get like, did the booze come before he got the alligator and then got the alligator drunk and then the depleted uranium? Did the depleted uranium come first? And like maybe it was like radiation poisoning that caused everything. Like I want to know, like, because I kind of strangely want to know the sequence of events that led to that.
Yeah, like I think the alligator maybe was drunk first. He got the guy drunk. The guy was like, it's a great idea, stealing uranium.
I mean, he probably watched like Nicolas Cage be like, "We're gonna steal the Constitution," and he was like, "You know what, bitches? I could do better. I'm gonna steal a nuclear something.
I'm gonna steal an alligator and some uranium, and then we're gonna have Jurassic alligators. You're welcome."
Oh,
yikes! Mm-hmm.
I think you just started a series.
Jurassic alligators.
Jurassic, like, well, so that was one of the things about Primeval.
Yeah.
One of the creatures that came back. And I've watched both, so I don't know if it's the one set in the UK or the one set in Canada. What I do know is Canada is where all the alien planets are modeled after. Like every alien planet looks like Canada. But no, they had one of the alligators that came from the Nile that was like the prehistoric version of the alligator. Mm-hmm. And it came up, and the premise was the reason that it was they thought it was a god, so they would like throw sacrifices to it. So it didn't attack because it was waiting for them to bring it food, because it was used to humans mean it brings me food. And so it kind of did that in this show. It was kind of a play on Egyptian mythology, which was awesome.
Wild. Yeah.
And I just kept thinking, I bet we could put a saddle on that thing.
Oh my gosh, right. What are you doing? Riding an alligator god?
Because why not?
Why wouldn't you, if given the option?
But I mean, I've got friends from Texas, so everything you could throw a saddle on is probably
been wooden. Yeah.
Yeah, you could go to war on it, because who's gonna stop you when you're on a giant alligator and it'll eat them first?
They're very fast.
It's basically like a land dragon.
Yeah, with very short little legs.
Yeah.
But that still move pretty fast.
Maybe we could get it some stilts.
Yeah. Ooh. We could ask the maned wolf to lend it some legs. It's going to be great. I love this plan.
So we're riding the alligator that's riding the wolf. Got it.
Right. There we go. It is a team effort. Everybody's a winner.
There you go. All right. So we could be civilized human beings here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. We are no longer knuckle dragging troglodytes. So coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
I'm always coffee. I can enjoy a good cup of tea, but without coffee, I am functionally unfunctional. And I will usually take it with a little bit of cream, but usually black. Mostly because I run out of cream and I still need coffee. So
yeah, so I'm from the South. I need my tea to be iced, cold,
fair.
and so sweet. Wilford Brimley comes back from the grave to
Just
slap
found
me.
out to tell you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And since I'm trying to get the whole new half of me vibe going on, like getting
Nice.
back in shape,
Love it.
I can't drink that. Like that is my goal for myself
Yeah.
when I get down to my next weight goal. Is I'm going out and I'm going to have a gallon of sweet tea, Chick-fil-A, and I'm going to drink it all in one setting because it's been so long.
Okay. That is bold. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the guys in the shows that are like fiending over their various drug of choice. I'm like,
right.
I mean, I get it now. Like I kind of like get a little drooly when I watch somebody with their tea, but I know I can't have it because I got to do the water.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Growing up sucks. I mean, when I was in my 20s and I was running 5 miles every day, I could eat whatever
you wanted. Yeah.
Getting old,
Yes, bodies.
Kids these days.
How dare they don't even know how good they have it.
Right? Do you shake your fist at the sky yet? Are you at that level?
I did. Yes, I literally was just doing that. I was like, how dare.
So when you do with the boxers and the wife beater, or maybe a husband beater because we want to be like co-ed.
Equal opportunity, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. You need to get one that you print your like book covers on, so that way you can like double as marketing.
Old woman shakes fist at sky, but those books look interesting.
Got right? It. Although I typed that one in and it ended up coming with a trial of some murder mystery author lady who murdered her husband.
Oh, no.
She wrote about. Now, I knew about the romance lady that did it up in Washington State, but this is a different one because this was in Australia.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's like all the cool stuff about Law and Order, but with wigs.
No, I love my husband. I will not be murdering him at this time. But
at this time, I noticed you qualified that.
Look, I don't know what future Marisa is going to be up to, but yeah, I probably won't.
Never say never.
Probably won't murder my husband.
Probably. So I'm just saying, like, if you start watching the How to Murder Your Husband shows on like HGTV,
there might be questions. Yeah.
Like my mom watches those. If my stepdad ever disappears, I'm just gonna be like,
no
check your browser history. I'm just saying.
We're not snitches.
This is true, but I'm just, I'm preemptively putting that out there, like sort of balance the scales, right?
Yeah. No,
like once it happens, like mom's the word. You got to shut up.
Yeah, you can't say anything about it. Yeah. No, I like him. We'll keep him. No murder.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So that means you don't stab him too hard when you get the gladiator.
I don't. No, I just ask him very nicely, will you come upstairs so I can stab you? And the answer is usually no.
But so that means all of your book combat and other scenes pass the Barbie test. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
have we talked about the Barbie test before?
I think I have seen you talk about the Barbie test before, but yeah, to act it out, I make.
Sometimes I read, like I did combative sports all through like my childhood. It was how I got my aggression out.
Nice.
And I've read some of these fight scenes. I'm like, first off, this dude's never been punched in the face, and two, like, be it intimate or otherwise, like there's no way the body moves this way.
Right. Yeah.
Or the other option is they have those like wooden art dolls that the artists use
that are articulated.
Like, yeah, that are articulated. That works too. The whole point is just think about, does the body bend that way?
Right. And if not, I mean, it can bend anyway once.
Right.
You have to figure that out. But yeah, that's absolutely, like, I don't know all the jiu-jitsu and like bends and holds and whatnot, but I do have a black belt in Taekwondo. So I know mostly how bodies move and how you block momentum and redirect momentum. And as somebody who has been punched in the face more than once, I also know how important your guard is. So that works its way into stories quite often.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, if you've never done combative sports, people don't realize how quickly a fight is over.
It's so quick. You don't even know.
Because you're using so much energy. Like this idea of like, we're fighting for hours. Like, I mean, maybe it happens sometimes, but not most of the time.
My blue belt test, I think this is, my blue belt test. It was the year I graduated from college. So I was 22, pretty good shape, 22. I sparred all like 9 of the black belts in our thing. And it was like maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes each. The last one, when he told me I had to do one more, I just started crying. And like, not because I was sad, but my body was just so exhausted. And this isn't a fight for my life. This was just sparring for a test, right? And like, I take it seriously, but it's not all the like life or death adrenaline. And like, my whole body was just like, I physically could do nothing but cry for like 20 seconds. And then I went and I did it. But afterwards I was like, my arms don't go up anymore.
I had a wrestling match in high school that went into quadruple overtime,
Oof.
which is almost a half hour, but not quite. And I just felt like I ended up losing that one.
Yeah.
It's one of the longer ones in my high school like record. Like at one point in time when they tracked that stuff, it was one of the longer ones in the state. If I'm going to be on the losing end of a record, I want it to be the longest match, not the shortest. So,
yes, that's fair. Yes.
And really, at that point, what it comes down to is who wants it more, because like you're a wet noodle with like a pulse, right? Yeah. Like at a certain point in time. Yeah. Now imagine doing that when you're wearing 40 pounds of gear.
No, thank you. It was bad enough with my pads. Like, oh my God. Yeah. No, thank you.
The cool thing is, because you write sword fights, that means every time you buy a Stabby implement, it's tax deductible.
It's a write-off. I know, I agree. This one was a gift, and I think people should gift me swords all the time. But yes, I can write it off.
I was actually really excited because I found this place that makes canes that have like the swords in them.
Oh, I love this.
You know, like when I first got hurt, they told me I wouldn't walk again, but I'm stubborn, so F them. But sometimes I do need my cane, like if it's a bad day. And how cool would it be to have the pimp cane with like the sword inside of it? But I'm told those are illegal in Virginia.
Oh, but what if they don't know? What if they don't know that's what it is?
Yeah, but I'm the kind of soccer that, like, if I had a secret room, it wouldn't be secret because I'd show everybody.
You tell everybody? Yeah, that's
I'd be like, hey, check this sword out. And then it'll be like, oh, here's the silver bracelets.
Yeah. Okay, so you can't have one, but I could have one.
Right. So I could never work for like the Secret Service or like the CIA.
Like, here's this whole thing everyone should know. Yeah.
Because like I tell everybody just because it's cool, right? Maybe there's a reason I write books.
There you go.
I just want to tell everybody everything.
Everyone should know the cool stuff. Respect.
Right. Like if you had a hidden room in your house, like what are you going to show people?
No comment.
I'm just saying, I watched Scooby-Doo as a kid. I want to be able to pull the book out and have it like spin in circles.
Yeah.
How cool would that be? And if I did it, I would add fake cobwebs for the ambiance in the passageway and like the sound of
nobody ever comes in here.
Right. The sound of rats scurrying and maybe like occasional water just to set the mood, and then I'd show everybody.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
Nobody's ever been in here before, I swear.
I need a secret room to hide that I had a secret room, so that way when I told people the main secret room, they didn't know there was another.
They didn't even know there was another secret room.
Right. It's like that scene on Princess Bride. You know that I know that you know.
You know. No, there's too much. Let me sum up.
Yeah, basically. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, we're going to pause for a moment while we shamelessly show for the man. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about your books and you. That's the reason we came.
Okay.
We've been goofing off for a little bit too much. So
I love shenanigans. That's what we're here for.
Here we go. Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Introducing The Shaman's Bones, Migratory Farmers Book 1 by Hunter K. Wallace. This fantasy features fierce animal gods, omens of the stars, and a quest to find a very special set of bones. When Yolanda is made an ambassador in her caravan of migratory farmers, it's a dream come true, until a trade in a village on the equator goes terribly wrong. The skies foretell trouble, the spirit animals are angry, and shadow monsters prowl the night. Worst of all, Yolanda is supposed to fix everything. To do so, she'll need the bones to summon the greatest spirit animal of all. Yolanda isn't alone. She's the help of a resentful young man whose life she has ruined, a gorgeous bone collector obsessed with corpses, a nanny-turned-sleuth, and a very attractive blasphemer who hates the spirits even more than she does. She'd rather be alone, or stealing glances at the broad-shouldered, brown-eyed blasphemer. No, she'd rather be alone. Maybe. Learn more about The Shaman's Bones and other works by Hunter K. Wallace at hunterkwallace.com.
All right. So I want you to know she recorded that herself, and she had to do like a bunch of takes because, you know, mom to young kids. And I would say, given that she was like hiding in a closet to do that,
that sounded great. Yes.
Yeah, it came out pretty excellent. So I hats off. Like, and of course, you know, she likes sassy characters. So,
you know what, Kay, you and me, girl, you and me, because that's great.
She just well, the week we're recording this, not the week this airs, her fourth book came out, The Aluminum Ziggurat. Amazing. And I keep trying to tell her she should like do it the British way, so it could be like aluminium.
Aluminium suit. Nice.
Right?
Nice.
And then
Yeah.
she could like make everyone like say it like, no, you got to say aluminium.
You're saying it wrong. Say it
Right.
correctly. I like it.
And then like her narrator would hate her and it would just be a thing.
It would be a thing. But no, there's a very attractive blasphemer. I'm into it. I love this.
Is it the blasphemer or that he's attractive with broad shoulders to get you?
But why choose? Two things can be true.
All right. So we brought you here partly because you got a lot of shenanigans going on in your life right now. But first, Baen set this up so you could talk about a plague of magic. So before we get started with the plague of magic, for those that are listening at home that want to know if this is okay for their kids, how would you rate this? Like, what age do you think it's appropriate?
High school.
Okay.
There's not a ton of there's not graphic violence. There is not a ton of romantic tension. There's no sexy times. There is death and loss and grief to a point that I would keep it the high school and above. I mean, I think middle schoolers could handle it. I definitely would have read it when I was like 12 or 13. But I'd say overall high school and above.
Okay. All right. So where did you get the premise that became this story?
The 4-part process is thus. So step 1, I was on a deadline for another project. So that's always when I get ideas for things. And I found the Cheapside Hoard. Are you familiar with this, JR?
That sounds very familiar. Why do I know this?
I don't know. It was a big deal at the time. So in the 1800s, some folks were reclaiming a burned down section of London. And they found the literal hoard of a goldsmith from one of the civil wars in like the 1600s.
That's right.
Yeah.
They found like over 400 pieces. It was like 16th or 17th century jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And they discovered it right before World War II. So it's probably 1910s.
Was it 19? I thought it was 1800s. I thought it was.
Let me Google it. They found it in 1912 in a cellar in London's Cheapside.
Well, there you go. I knew Cheapside. See, I thought it was older because when they found it, the construction workers like split it up amongst themselves super peacefully, and everyone went out and drinking, had a real good night. And the man who I thought became the founder of the British Museum, but maybe this is different. Somebody like ran to tell him like, there's all these like really cool artifacts floating around Cheapside bars, and he was like, what? And like ran out and collected all of them in quotes, but found a ton of it and put it ultimately on display in the British Museum. But I found that so interesting because it fundamentally changed how they thought about trade routes in the 1600s, because they had jewels from this place, but in a setting from this place. And like, it changed how they thought of the world. And so that kind of lived in my brain. And then another year or two later, I don't even remember. Basically, it marinated in my head for like 3 years. And then suddenly I realized who Seema was and everything that happened to her. So it's a world in which magic has been outlawed for about 400 years because it ended the world. Civilization as we know it, gone. And Seema finds this outrageous treasure in an abandoned house, and doesn't occur to her that it's maybe not just what it looks like, and it fundamentally changes how they see the world. So it is not in London. It is not like a London adjacent type thing. It's a whole other world. It's not our world at all. And shenanigans and tragedy ensue.
So I did a quick Google search, and then I read the article at the museum in London where it's antiquities where it's held. They actually found a brooch that was from Queen Cleopatra the Fourth, so not the Cleopatra, but right. Later, where they've got her bust. So it came from Egypt, and then you're right, they were from places that they didn't think were interacting yet. Yep. But we kind of already, they didn't know that at the time, but now, like on the East or the West Coast, they found stuff from like the Celts that was traded. So we think before we even knew it, there was global trade routes
all over. Yes. And I love that. I love stuff that fundamentally changes how we think about things. So that definitely worked its way in here a little bit.
So I'm assuming that the some of those artifacts might have been magical in nature.
In the book, all of them are, yes.
Cool. So okay, so this is a second world. Is it like medieval era tech? Are we talking like era, gas lamp era,
Yeah,
steampunky?
I would say it's a little steampunky. So it's basically, it's almost Renaissance-y times,
Okay.
because it's basically civilization as they know it was destroyed 400 years ago, or roughly 400 years ago. And before that, everything operated on magic. So you can get from here to there because you can teleport, or because your boat is powered by magic, or because you've got whatever amulet that helps you control the wind. So they hadn't invented a lot of things. They just did things with magic. But then you can't do things with magic anymore, and you kind of have to rebuild from the ground up. So they've got forges, they've got some ships. They're basically in like this one almost Mediterranean type setup where it's like there's a smallish ocean that they can cross, and there's a couple of cities that they know have sort of recovered like they have. But it's book one is pretty insular. You're almost the entire time in the city of Broadside. So,
I like the name.
thank you.
You tend to do that a lot with names. I've noticed that's kind of a thing for you. It seems like branding wise.
Say more, JR. What do you mean?
Well, you always come up with kind of like evocative names. But I mean, I guess if you think about it, that makes sense because most names started that way.
Yeah.
Like what we think of as surnames generally were occupations.
Yep.
And so like if you dig back to the original language sources for most towns, the town's name was literally like town on a river, town in the woods, town in the meadow.
Right.
Like, you know, not exactly, but pretty dang close. But
pretty
you
close, yeah.
True to that. Like you don't try to get too wonky with the names just because you can.
Yeah.
I like it. It feels more lived in.
Thank you. Thanks. That's very much what I wanted for this because it is a second world. So I very much wanted it to feel real and lived in and more of like, I mean, it's more my friend Melissa Olthoff, who I believe you were talking to soon.
And she's one of your feral friends.
She was one of my fellow feral ladies. That was a lot of words that were hard to say just then. She called it a street level fantasy. So you are really in this city, and I wanted the city to feel, if not like a character, then as a very real part of the city, like something that you're like, ooh, this is in danger.
So I like the way the cover has the texture on the words. I like the fence look to the top.
Yeah.
With that old-timey kind of wrought iron look.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely colorblind approved, so points there.
Yay.
And then, of course, the image. It looks like it's a brooch of some kind almost.
Yes, it does. Yes.
And then, of course, you get the picture with the dragon, the horde of, and then the people behind it. I'm digging the image. Like, did you have a say in this, or did they just kind of, you got lucky that Baen picked a good one?
Yes to both. So this is Tom Kidd, who award-winning, prolific artist. He hand paints. So he hand painted this beautiful cover, and then I was like, what if my idea was like, I want the treasure because it is the motivating thing of the whole book. So and how do you say no to a book with treasure on it, right? And I think Tom Kidd was like, well, how do you say no to a book with freaking dragon on it? I don't say no to those things. So as I was looking at the painting, I was like, what if we made it like one of the brooches or portrait type things that they find in the horde? So it's like, it's both kind of a representation of what's happening, but also it's a piece of the horde itself. I thought that would be really fun. And then this way too, in my head, it's kind of a marriage of like the old school, gorgeous fantasy art books. And then also this like newer, it's sleek and it's fancy and it's graphic, but get both. So it's kind of, that's what I was hoping for.
The art itself definitely harkens back to like the 80s and the 90s covers. Some of the 2000s to recently, some of those trad pub covers were a little too artsy fartsy and I didn't really like them.
Fair.
And I like this. It's also entirely possible, like I said, you know, I don't hide the fact that I'm colorblind. So it's possible some of the ones I didn't like, I missed whatever detail made them pop.
Sure. I mean, sure.
But I like this one. It's simple in that, like from a thumbnail, it's really obvious what it is. Mm-hmm. But then when you get the full picture and you zoom into the horde and you can see like the people in shadow in the background and all of that, like the sunbeam hitting the treasure just right.
Yes. I love that. Tom Kidd is amazing with light.
Do they let you have a copy of the actual painting so you can like hang it in your office?
I mean, maybe when I'm like as big a deal as Brandon Sanderson, but no, I have not.
You've got to get to the point where like you can put that and only green M&Ms in your writer.
That's right. Wouldn't that be amazing? I require the art from my covers and specific colored M&Ms. Thank you so much. Reese's Pieces, I think.
Oh, yeah. Chocolate and peanut butter. You can't go wrong. Man, you got me when I'm dieting. Like everything sounds good. You know?
Everything's good. Yep.
I mean, we are true to form though. Eventually, at some point, every episode becomes the food cast.
Yeah. I mean, it's important.
So, and if it was a guy, we'd be talking grilling because we're stereotypical like that.
I love it. I love being grilled for. Yeah.
Oh, you'd be grilled for. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like a grill princess. Like you sit there with the beverage and supervise.
Yeah. I used to grill when I was a teacher. We had one of those little like hibachi guys, and I would grill. But now I'm.
If he doesn't grill, you just stab him. So
right. I just call him up to be stabbed. It's fine.
Right. We went full circle. All right.
Yeah.
So the cover is awesome. Is this going to be part of a series or is this a standalone?
It is a full story, complete in and of itself. I do have ideas for a book 2 and 3, and then a second trilogy. So we'll see. If everyone buys it. Maybe I can write them all.
Okay. So what can you tell us about the main character?
Yes, I can tell you that Seema was a street rat. She is part of a family of street rats. They have forged themselves together into a family of orphans and disregarded children. They grew up as thieves. They also grew up as one of the favorite little thieving bands of one of the big fences in Broadside, who helped them get educated and offered them different scavenging contracts that are basically just government authorized thievery. And Seema is ready to go straight. She's getting older. She's tired of thieving. She does not want to be killed for being caught thieving. She knows she's slowing down a little bit. She's not old by any means. She's probably in her 20s, 30s. But she's tired. She's tired of the life. And so she has this idea that her and her friends should go scavenge in one of the haunted, abandoned districts of their city. And then she comes upon life-changing treasure and thinks that's it. She's made it. Her and her family are finally going to be safe. But it wouldn't be much of a book if that's what happened. So
it's definitely sounds like a found family kind of situation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is she the main character or are there other main characters?
She is. So it's a little bit of an ensemble at the beginning. So Seema is our point of view character. And then here's a secret that I will tell you. I was more than halfway through the book and I realized I needed a second point of view character. So I had to go back in and rewrite some things and restructure. And so our second point of view character is Harvin, who is basically a secret agent of Broadside's ruling council. And his job is to shut down magic, any means necessary. And really the only mean necessary is murder. So he's real good at that. And it's also not a secret to tell you that the first time he meets Seema, he immediately tries to kill her, as he should. That's his job. They go enemies to colleagues in this book. So if you're looking for tropes, this is an enemies to colleagues book. They are not lovers. They're not even friends, but they're colleagues. So you get Harvin's point of view of what's going on, and then you get Seema's point of view. And they are pretty wildly different.
And why do they want to end the magic? Is that something that's like a spoiler, or can you tell us?
Yeah, magic, you find out right at the beginning. So Seema is thinking about how convenient magic must have been back in the day, but also it ended the world. There was a cataclysm. It was something to do with too much magic and overuse of magic, too many people fighting with magic, a little bit unclear because records don't always stay in perfect shape after an apocalypse. But people barely survived. Their city is just now at a place where it can be considered like civilized. And so magic is outlawed because it already entered the world once. What will it do if we let it back?
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
If you gotta, stack a few bodies to make that happen.
Look, it's worth it because it's better, the few than the many.
So do you play into the trope where the guy that's like trying to end magic or witchcraft or all the insert whatever is also using it to do it? Like, is he using like a magic knife to do his offing?
So what I will say is that the people in power in this book are like people in power everywhere. And what they think the people they're in charge of should do is not necessarily what they think they should do.
Rules
Um,
for thee, but not for me. I get it.
Exactly. So there are nobody in this book is the bad guy. Certainly, some of them think others are the bad guy, but everybody has very reasonable reasons for doing what they're doing.
So the setting is second world, but if you were going to give a description of the weather pattern terrain, are we talking tropical? Are we talking like frosty New England?
We're talking probably Mediterranean adjacent.
So
you still get seasons. Yeah, you still get seasons, but like the hot is hot, the storms are storms. Like there's a storm season. But it's not like people aren't going to freeze to death in the winter.
Except for the magic ones.
Right, which is why you have so many orphans, because they don't just die off because of the weather. So here we are.
Okay. Now, is there like in this world like an established orphanages system, or are they kind of just thrown out on their own?
Ish. There are some council-sponsored houses. This is where some of our characters met off screen, well before the book starts. And they are referenced that there are some like minor social safety nets. How good those are, how good the quality is, we don't really get into. But given that our little happy crew of thieves chose thievery over the safety of the orphanage, probably tells you something.
Okay. So are there any secondary characters that are kind of awesome?
Yes. There's one on the cover. There is, I mean, it's not really a spoiler, right? It's right there. A big score, a little dragon, and a whole lot of trouble. The dragon is the grumpiest, crankiest, maddest little guy I think I've ever written. He hates everything and everyone, especially Seema, for very good reason. And he is done. He was meant to sleep through this stupid time, and he was woken up, and that is some BS. I love him.
Do you throw in the most iconic line of iconic lines? Does he tell them that he will bring dishonor to them, their house, their cow?
And their cow? No, there's no cows. Dang it. I missed opportunity.
That means no hamburgers. What in the world is this?
It's a sad world, man. There's no magic.
That's how I know there's dystopian, because they don't have hamburgers.
Right. Although I will say to our conversation about canes, the fence, Kai, I love her. Kai absolutely has a cane with a sword in it. And she for sure has killed people with it. Like, we don't see that happen, but I guarantee you it has.
So I'm just saying that there's some room for some short stories in there.
Yes, yeah, maybe so, yeah.
Or novellas. I mean, I don't want to be greedy, but
yeah, I'm actually doing a short story. There will be one on Baen.com ahead of the release of this book. It's another side character who was meant to be like a throwaway, and he decided to give me his entire backstory and a whole lot of attitude, and he features in one of my favorite scenes of the whole book. The one that made Griffin Barber, who was my editor, fan himself in Lady. So you're welcome, everybody. That was his literal comment to me, and it was amazing. I screenshotted it. But yeah, so Degore is basically like the underworld boss, and he will have a short story on Baen.com ahead of the book's release. He's pretty great.
And of course, Baen.com, there's two ways you get stories there, dear listeners, if you haven't caught some of the other episodes. Is one, the free library is just some of their existing or deep series that have like multiple books. They'll throw the first one in the free library.
First one's free.
The first one's free, like a good drug dealer. But in addition to that, some of the short contents that are lead-ins to newer series, those will be free, but it's only like limited time. It's not part of the permanent free library.
No, but you can always find it again. Like mine for Beyond Enemies is still on there. You just have to search for it.
Okay. It's just not as prominent at a certain point.
Yeah, it's not like featured after a while, I think.
But yeah, so those are up there, and you can check it out. And they do a lot of the DRM, digital rights management, free.
Yes.
So you're not confined to one program, platform, whatever, to read it. I'm pretty sure most of those, if you've got an e-reader that'll read a PDF, you can port it over.
Yep.
I use BookFunnel. I know other people have used other programs that'll get it. You can even sideload it into your Kindle. It's a pain in the butt, but you can.
Yeah.
So that'll be there. Are we talking like a true short story, like 6 to 10,000 words? Are you talking like a Brandon Sanderson short stories, 50,000?
No, it'll be about 6,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
short story.
is there anything about that short story that surprised you, or have you not written it yet?
It is mostly written. I will say nothing surprised. Dogore surprised the heck out of me in the novel. So by
Okay.
the time we got to his short story, I was like, well, I know these things. He's like, oh, but did you know this? And I was like, nope, surprise. That is new. But it is a character in the story who I didn't know existed until I wrote this story. And I was like, oh, this all makes sense. Got it.
So the council wants to outlaw magic,
Yep.
but they lost the ability to do, or they never learned a lot of things, because why invent a sailboat that, you know, rides the waves if you can control it with magic? So where are they technologically as they try to learn non-magical solutions?
Yeah. So they're, like I said, they're like 375, 400 years in. So they can sail. There's not a lot of places they go. So it's a very isolated city on purpose. So, and it's like a city state, right? It's like an old school city that's like 100,000, 200,000 people, but like in earlier days, that's like a lot of people. So they can sail, but they only want to go to other cities that have similarly stamped down on magic, because they don't want to risk infecting their city. So there's a very small amount of places they go. It's not very far. Outsiders are seen with a great deal of suspicion and are forced into quarantine when they come, because in this world, basically, it takes magic to spark magic. So you might inherently be able to do magic, but if you never come into contact with it, you can't do it. Like it will remain inert inside you. And so the council has used quarantines, purges, very, very limited trade to be able to control this over their 400 years. But like I said, they can make swords. They've got weapons of warfare. They've got some ships that sail. They've got not like a motorized train, but like they can bring in stuff from the mountains, like ore and everything else, on like some tracks where they pull the things along. So it's steampunk-y.
You need a good dirigible.
Yeah. Well, there may be more things if I get to write future books. There may be some.
If for no other reason, the word is cool.
It is a very cool word. Yeah. Yeah. Plus, I watched Avatar. Those were super fun.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, flying animals besides the dragon. Wait, does your dragon fly?
Maybe.
Other flying creatures that are fun? I mean, we like mounting pterodactyls and throwing saddles on them.
We do like putting saddles on things. Yeah. That is an accurate thing.
All right. So the rest of the world exists. They just isolate themselves intentionally, so they're not aware of the rest of the world. Did you do that to kind of get the story in a bottle effect, or do you have larger plans?
Yes to both. Yes. So I love when a fantasy, like especially when it's epic fantasy, I love when we start small and then slowly, as the stakes get bigger, the scale gets bigger. I love that. And the only part that was really clear to me when I started writing this was Seema and Broadside. So I was kind of building out the world as we went. And then I got to a certain point in the story where I was like, well, now I need to know everything. So I kind of stopped, sketched everything out, made my little maps, made my histories, did all of my little timelines. I say little, but it's pages and pages and pages of notes. So I know what's going on in most of the other parts of the world, but there is absolutely no reason for the characters to know it, which means the readers don't really get to know either.
And so, for the record, dear listener, it is the series is not A Plague of Magic. That is book 1. The series is called The Arcane Horde, because there is a series called A Plague of Magic written by somebody else who's probably not as cool as you.
Oh, well, look, I didn't even know. So here we are.
Well, I mean, because, they're not as cool as you. So
That's right. That's right. I'm sure they're very cool, but have they been headbutted by an alligator?
No, they probably have not been headbutted by alligators.
No.
So, like, what would you like? Was this a dark story, a dark fantasy? Is it like, how would you classify it?
So I will tell you this. This is minor spoilers. So if you are out there listening or watching this and you don't want this part, like cover your ears for about 35 seconds. I originally conceived of this as a fun heist novel. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I should really give Seema this group of friends and family to show the stakes of magic. And shockingly, when I did that, it was no longer a fun heist novel. It changed the tone entirely of the book, which is super strange that happened. I'm a professional author, and I'm still learning how tone works. But yes, so I would say it does get dark, especially for Seema in there for a little bit. But it ends in hope. That is always my guarantee in any Marisa Wolf book, is it's going to end with hope and promise. And it will not be unrelenting grimdark the whole time.
Well, the reason I ask is because obviously, like, it's not a spoiler, there are dragons because it's on the cover, but it's listed as dragons and mythical creatures. And then dark fantasy are the two categories on Amazon. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes Amazon assigns categories that aren't necessarily appropriate and not what the author intended. That's why I was asking.
No, that's a fair question. Yeah, it is. I would say you definitely shouldn't go into it thinking it's going to be all like light and fun and snark.
It definitely action adventure, it sounds like. And
Yes.
so they got that right, at least. Go Amazon.
Yeah. And there's plenty of snark for sure, but it's just,
snark needs to be its own subgenre.
I agree.
So, okay, so you've got the kind of confined city. Is it kind of the classist society we like London that inspired it? Are we talking more like the Americas where in theory it's merit based? Like, what culture did you infuse into Broadside?
Yeah, it is a mess of cultures. I would say it's probably fairly similar to Arcane, where you've got like an overclass and an underclass.
Okay.
And so in Broadside, the council families have been the council families since the refounding of the city. So they have been the council for 400 years. And now, they've bred over time. So there is this like also upper class. So I'm not going to show you my really crappy map that I made for myself, but the city is broken into neighborhoods, sections. They're basically like subcities of themselves. And they are very different. You've got muckers, which is just like your criminals and your sailors. And sailors are basically criminals to the fine people of Broadside because they come into contact with bad things all the time. And that's just like your low class criminals. It's muddy, it's gross, muckers. Then you've got Ossington, where Seema lives. And those are like maybe a step above, but they're still your low class folks. Like they go to bars and they work crappy jobs and, they're not fancy like the people of High-End. And so then you've got the neighborhoods where your people are fancy and they're artisans or they're investors or whatever.
The people who drink with their pinky up. Correct.
That's right. They are definitely fancy tea drinkers with their little pinkies. So
the muckers definitely gives a very British vibe to it. Like I'm thinking, like now we just need the Peaky Blinders in there somewhere, and you're like in the money.
It's
Which is the coolest gang name ever. Like I don't know anything else about them, but the name is cool.
The name is pretty great. Yeah.
So the culturally, are we talking like? So the city culture has evolved around what it is, but before the cataclysm, were there multi-ethnic culture that from various regions, or was it more?
Yeah, I would say before the cataclysm, it was a very cosmopolitan world because people could travel. Almost anyone could travel almost anywhere, and it didn't cost anything because you didn't have to be of a certain class or a certain income level to access magic. Everyone could. So it's pretty egalitarian, if you will. And people just kind of went where the mood took them because they could. Again, according to stories, people don't know that for sure. It could all be very idealized. And so for the most part in Broadside, people all kind of look like each other. It's been 400 years of interbreeding, right? Or whoever was there at the time or managed to like wash up on shore and survive. So there isn't any kind of like skin color racism or anything else. It's more just like, do you dress right? Do you talk right? Okay, then you're one of us. Are you trash? Well, then you're trash.
That's the one thing people sometimes gloss over about like various apocalypse in a world where travel is a thing. Like when everything shuts down, you're stuck where you're at. And so like you might be married, but you're never going to see that spouse again.
Never. Yeah.
Are you functionally still married? That's kind of, that could be an interesting conundrum because you also need babies to repopulate after these, very cataclysmic
really bad.
events.
Yeah.
And that's one of the cool things now. Like I've talked to some super devout religious types, and they're like, "Oh, no, totally not cool." But I got one of the Diana Gabaldon scene where like she goes back in time and she gets married, so she's got two husbands, but they're like hundreds of years apart. So is it really cheating if her husband hasn't been born yet?
They're never alive at the same time, the husband.
Right.
So
like it's those kinds of questions, like these historic kind of grand events force you to consider individually and culturally. So it's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Now, do you plan on telling any stories about Before the Fall?
Maybe. What I am really interested in, and so this is probably slightly Wheel of Time related. Like my biggest regret about Wheel of Time is that we'll never get the Outrigger novels. Like I want to know what happens after the New Age. I want to see that. And so in this book, if I write the next two as I plan to, it will be, the world will be fundamentally different. And I want to write that. So I think there'll be some going back, because there will be potentially some, without giving spoilers, there will potentially be some people who lived through it, but you'll never have the actual answer of what the world was like, because they're only going to have their view of what that was. And I don't think I'm going to set anything back then. It will just be forward.
Okay. And even in your lifetime, things have a way of being mythologized.
Like we've already seen it, right? They're already, I think of that internet meme all the time of like, oh no, I'm now at the age where somebody younger than me will give me a passionate discussion of an event that I lived through, and it will be completely wrong. Like that's already happening. And I'm only 45. So
it's okay. You can't scare me. I was born in the 1900s.
I was born in a 1907. So here we are.
There you go. So that's interesting. Although you can get your Outrigger novels, you just got to convince Sanderson to write them.
Yeah, I don't think he will. His list is long enough.
Yeah. All right. So at some point in time, you might go back, but not all the way back.
Yeah, we'll definitely go forward.
Are you going to keep the sword and pistol vibe of like steampunk musketeers, or are you thinking you might take it even further to modern-ish tech?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with a plague is once it's released, you can't put it back in the box entirely. So society is going to change dramatically and quickly. So tech will change, but also the way it is used alongside potentially magic is going to change that pretty wildly.
And we're not even absolutely sure, because we're just, the character's assumption that it was magic in essence that caused the problem, and not somebody like, that's like the difference between using nuclear power to fund, power a city or blow one up. Like that doesn't mean the source itself is necessarily the problem.
Correct. So in this world, magic is a elemental force in the universe, like gravity, like nuclear fission. It is an inherent force, and as such, it is bigger than most individuals can fully grasp or understand. So when you try to control it and make it do things, but you don't understand all of the effects, who's really to blame? Is it the force that's not doing anything on purpose, or is it the individuals effing with it?
Yeah, no one blames a snowflake for the avalanche.
Right? So, and also, if this world fundamentally requires magic to work and we've blocked it away for a bunch of years, what side effects might that have? Because humans aren't looking at things like we were talking about at the beginning. Humans don't have a great concept of 60,000 years or of a millennia. Or so when Africa splits into two giant island potential continents, like that's hard for us to grasp. We live 100 and something years if we're lucky. And this is very true on this planet as well. We don't quite understand.
That gets me a question. You mentioned humans, and you've got dragons. So are there other fantasy races involved in this? Not
in Plague of Magic. Not that you know for sure.
So, there might be monsters in the depths. Here be monsters.
The people of Broadside definitely think so. They are sure that there are things in the ocean. In fact, they refer to all the time the drowned gods. So
I have seen medieval literature and the images drawn on them. I happen to know at one point in time the world was beset upon by giant killer rabbits.
Absolutely, it was.
I mean, there was just this great scourge. I mean, they must have waged war on the rabbits and won,
I think they
thankfully.
did. Yeah, yeah.
So this dragon that's on the cover that gets woken up early and's all sassy pants.
So sassy.
Do we learn his name?
Yes.
Okay. Is he like going to become the kind of dragon that, you put a saddle on, or the kind that eats you?
Yep.
He can do both. So he's multi-talented.
He is a very talented little guy. And
now is he full sized when he's small? Is that as big as he gets?
That is a great question that he would not answer to you directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you go with the dragons and hordes and dragons and readings that's in some of the tropes?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, he has a horde on purpose, right? Like he was in the place he was for a very good reason. So
given the trope of the quarantine effect, did you come about this during the great COVID, or did it just incidental to that?
I think the Cheapside Horde piece was before. I want to say it was like 2018 or 2019
that
I saw it. It wasn't a direct result of COVID by any means, because I wrote the first page in 22, I think. Like it really just kind of marinated over time. And then when I wrote it in about 6 weeks. And she a chunky book. So that was in my brain for a while.
Do you feel lighter now that you got it out?
I do a little bit, yeah, with the chunky book out. No, because book 2 and 3 are like, I'm here. You could write this instead of your projects. But yeah, so I wouldn't say it's direct, but I'd say it's everything we live through informs our writing eventually, right? So I think there's a little bit of the after effects of Hurricane Katrina in there. I think there's a little bit of just how people respond to plagues as a whole in there. I think there's a lot of can you trust your government in there. But I wouldn't say any of it is like a 1-for-1 thing. So.
Okay.
And my answer is no, you can't trust your government, in case you were wondering.
I like the fact that your main character isn't a kid.
Yeah.
I think it's overdone, I think, in fantasy. I think it's because they're trying to tap into the YA market and make everything fit.
Yeah.
Sometimes one size fits all just doesn't.
Agreed.
So I like that she's, a grown up.
She's a grown woman. Yep.
And that means, you don't get that annoying angsty phase on page. Like she lived through all that before we get to her, which I appreciate.
Yes.
So is there anything we haven't asked? Because I feel like every time I'm starting to ask the questions I have, we're like, oh, that's a spoiler. So I can't.
I know. I'm trying so hard to give you something.
And I appreciate that. Is there anything you want to tell us about this that we haven't talked about yet?
I want to tell you that some of the jewels described are in fact from the Cheapside Horde. I stole them wholesale because they're gorgeous. I also can I tell a quick urban fantasy and real life story?
Sure.
Are we doing okay on time or no?
No, we're good.
Okay. So this story is true. This part. When I was a teacher, a friend of mine and I, we were our second year of teaching, and we went to a conference in New Orleans. We taught in Baton Rouge, and we went to a teaching conference in New Orleans, and it was 3 days. And day 3, the early morning sessions, there was nothing for us. Nothing looked good. Nothing was going to be helpful for our teaching experience. Nothing. So we're like, you know what? Let's go walk in the French Quarter. We'll get breakfast. Who goes to the French Quarter in the daytime? We'll get breakfast. We'll walk around. We'll come back for afternoon sessions. It'll be great. So we're walking down a pretty deserted French Quarter street, and we see this gorgeous from the 1800s jewelry store. And we stop to stare in the windows because we're magpies. And the proprietor sees us and waves us inside. And we're like, oh, no. And he waves us inside again. And we go inside. And he's like, ladies, I have been waiting all day to show off these gorgeous color changing sapphires that we just got in. And we're like, ooh, how exciting. He's like, yes. And he's taking them out of the case and showing them to us. And at one point he's like, here, try them on. And I was like, sir, we're teachers. We make $24,000 a year. We are not going to be able to purchase anything in your fine establishment. Something like that is what I said. And he laughed and he's like, oh, but you won't always be teachers. Try it on. And so we're both wearing like just loaded down in these like gorgeous rings. This like I had this triple stranded necklace on. My friend has bracelets. Like we're just covered in gems. And he goes, "Go outside," which feels like a trap, right? So we're like, no, that's okay. Like we'll just give this back. He's like, "No, they're color changing sapphires. You have to see them in the sun to understand what they do." And so we like very carefully walk out, like waiting for the alarm or the cops or the shooting or whatever. But no, we're on the street outside of this thing in the French Quarter, glittering in the sunshine. And these jewels are absolutely like some of them are yellow green, some of them are blue, some of them like they're gorgeous. I don't even know how long we stood out there in the sun, like admiring these things. So we go back in, we very reluctantly give everything back. There's absolutely nothing that we can afford. And he's like, "Don't worry, I'll see you again." And we're like, "Oh, okay." We have individually and together attempted to find that jewelry shop. That was 2003. So it was 22 years ago. I have tried to find that shop at least 16 times. It does not exist. I cannot find it. And it was not until I was writing this book that I finally found what the color changing sapphires were. Because I've tried to Google them periodically. I have asked at other shops, and they're called diaspores, and they're from this one mine in Turkey. And sure enough, they were discovered in like 2002, 2003. But it wasn't until I was writing this book and I was like, "God damn it, I am putting a color changing sapphire in here. What are they? What are they called?" Like I have to find it. And so I Googled and I finally found them. They're diaspores. I am absolutely going to buy one if a bunch of people buy this book. And still, though, that jewelry store does not exist. I still cannot find it on the internet or in the world. So,
there's a whole Reddit subthread that's designed or around finding these kind of things.
yeah.
Like I had a book that I remembered reading and I typed it in there and they helped me find it. And then, of course, AI is only making it better. Like you can go in Grok and start asking questions. Obviously, check the sources because, there's that famous case where the lawyer used Grok or Chat GPT or whatever to like do his research, and he's quoting cases that don't exist on his legal brief.
That's rough.
Yeah, poor guy. He got censured, and it's probably his like paralegal that did it.
I mean, yeah, but sometimes you got to check your work.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I've walked the streets. I have looked. I have Googled, and some stores seem like maybe they're it, but.
Now, have you asked your friend that was with you, whatever the other teacher?
She also remembers. She has also looked for it. We are both at a loss. So
Mandela effect in real time.
Yes, or a fae. So.
Yeah, but fae. Well, I mean, he said you'd see him again, so he's not keeping his word if he's a fae, and their word is everything.
I mean, I still have life to live. He did not say when he would see me again. So
this is true. He could be like, when I'm stabbing you in the heart, killing you all.
When I come to murder you when you're 99.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, if you're 99 and he murders you like that and you go out fighting, you can go join me in Valhalla. We're good.
Right. Yeah. Then I go out fight. Yeah. Right. I'll just keep my sword with me. And hopefully
just keep the juice box on you, like so that way you can throw it at him. So good. Yeah. I've seen the meme. I know how this works.
I like that meme. I know how this works. I'm going to Valhalla. Let's go.
So, okay. So do you have any kind of stores in the story that were inspired by that visit? Because it'd be kind of cool if you've ever done that.
Yeah, no, I don't. But I would say that's probably part of why I have so much fun writing urban fantasy is because that is like one of 4 or 5 things like that have happened to me in my life that I'm like, is this real? Am I being punked by the universe? Like, what is even happening right now? So,
yeah. So for those that, so let's close out the Plague of Magic, and we're going to talk about the other thing because I've got time. Sure. I'm my own boss, so I mean, I can I can set the clock. So Plague of Magic is coming out in September, I believe, correct?
Yep.
So it is for pre-order right now. You can buy it early if you go to Baen's, and I will link in the show notes to both Baen and Simon & Schuster if you want a Dead Tree version. And of course, eventually you can get it on Amazon. But I'll link to all 3 for you. So that's coming out in September. You are part of the Feral Summer, I think?
Feral Summer, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Summer of Feral Fantasy.
Yes, there we go, Feral Fantasy. Yeah. So they're pimping it this summer because it is on pre-order. Mm-hmm. And if you pre-order it according to Amazon, you are getting it at a discounted price.
Nice. And 2 things. You can get the e-arc right now from Baen.com, which means there might still be some typos in it, but you can read it. And 2, I heard a rumor that there may be some copies available at Dragon Con this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Dragon Con is what, August?
Yeah, it's Labor Day weekend.
Okay. So other than that, you mentioned this urban fantasy answer. I like the idea of urban fantasy because like magic hidden, like that's what people liked about the Harry Potter, right? It was like that it was that secret world within a world that, you know, beneath the surface. It's why Rick Riordan's The Lightning Thief, right? All of that, the allure of what lies in the shadows. That's why Men in Black was popular. It's why, you know, sparkling vampires. Do they sparkle in the book?
I don't know, actually. I think so. I think that's the thing.
Okay. But I mean, like all of those appeal because people like the idea of what's, you know, there might be something hidden beneath the surface. I mean, Dan Brown's made a career of writing those kinds of books, right?
Right.
It's
so
popular for a reason. I think it's hit something primal about the need to know about the things we don't understand. And now while we think we understand things scientifically, you know, there's lots of metaphysical and existential questions we still haven't answered. And I think urban fantasy scratches that itch.
I agree.
So you mentioned that. Does that mean that you've got some urban fantasy coming out?
I do have some urban fantasy. I actually have it right here. Along with two of the other feral fantasy.
Hold on,
there
we go. So you can show it.
So speaking of the Summer of Feral Fantasy, the first book, Mage Light, which is out right now, Casey Azell. I've got this copy. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. I strongly recommend it. Rise from Ruin by Melissa Olthoff comes out June 2nd or 3rd. It's 11 days from when we're recording this, which is maybe helpful or not. It will be out when this episode airs. So
absolutely.
These are both freaking incredible. And so I have them right next to my desk along with...
I was too soon.
It's okay. We don't need to close it. Then Valkyrie's Chosen. Here, we'll put the light right in her butt. There we go. Boop. This is my urban fantasy. It is in Bill Webb's Hit World universe, which is one of those anything goes. This is how you know if it's going to work for you. If these first two sentences resonate, you're going to like the book. If they don't, that's no harm, no foul. It is a truth universally acknowledged that the reward for being good at your job is more work. This is bullshit. So that's Brynn, Valkyrie's Chosen. She gets promoted in the shittiest way and has to deal with it. So in an urban fantasy world of magic, there is a magical New England town that may or may not exist. And she talks to witches who are lawyers or lawyers who are witches. It's pretty great.
So it's just modern America then?
It really is just here. Yeah, it's amazing. So,
although I'm told like you got to pay the toll if you're going to make the lawyer jokes because they sue you. And
that's fair. Yeah, these witches are badass. Like this is not a pooping on lawyers character.
Is this another one through Baen, or did you put this one out yourself? Oh,
this one is through Hit World Press. So it's indie. It's an indie guy. There are three books in the direct series. 4 if you want to entry somewhere else, and then more if you count Bill and Larry Hoy's Hit World books, which are delightful.
So is this the magic is hidden?
Yes.
And okay, so it's there, but you know there's the mulligans,
yes. Yeah.
There's the people who aren't aware. Muggles, I guess.
Muggles, yeah. It's like everyone has talent. So like, you know how there are people who like never hit a red light when they're in a rush. Or there are people who can trip over nothing like it's their job. In Hit World, these are actual magical talents. Like everyone has magical talents. They just don't know it and can't necessarily train themselves because they don't know that it's real. So.
Now, the never getting a red light is dangerous because I saw The Craft and I know how that she ends up in a straitjacket. I'm just saying.
Real bad. Real bad. Yeah.
Oh, spoilers if you haven't seen the movie from the 90s, people.
Right. Go watch it though. You want to
it's good. I appreciate it. The magic that she has, is it like ritual based? Is it spell based where she's got like have ingredients in the cauldron?
Oh yeah, good question. It plays out differently for different people because it's a very intent based magic.
Okay.
But the idea that Bill came up with was basically magic is in the air around you all the time. Some places naturally have more, some places have less, but there is a finite amount in any area. So anyone who is actively using it can drain up to how much is there. And there might be side effects to that. They might kill themselves doing that. It's all kinds of things, but like it exists. And then some people can access it actively and some people can only access it passively. But there is a limit to it because in like a general room, there's only so much. So
Okay, I've seen that trope used before. It makes it fun because if someone's it's anti-economic in that, you know, there is a finite pie in this case, as opposed to just the ability to make more pies. Well, maybe they could make more magic, and then that could
I wish for more wishes. Yeah, it's one of those. It's not one of those.
Well, and then of course the memes that come out of that is like, you can't do that. Okay, well then I want, until everyone in Congress is honest. You son of a biscuit eater. Now you're gonna live forever.
Right?
Like you gotta outsmart the genie.
Yep.
Are there fae like creatures or just humans with powers?
Yeah. So another fun thing about Hit World is anything that could possibly exist totally exists. So there are multiple dimensions. All stories come from some piece of truth. So one of the books that one of our authors is working on now involves like the literal fae. But they're from a different dimension, and their descendants here on Earth are, the Irish mafia. So
I'm saying I know a few things about the fae. I know never eat their food, avoid their mounds, and don't step into circular toadstools.
Yeah, or do sometimes that might be preferable, honestly.
And if you, like you said, go back to Diana Gabaldon, also avoid the standing stones.
That's right. Don't touch any suspicious stones standing by themselves in a field. It's fine.
Although the Alice in Wonderland also told us about the dangers of eating other people's food.
Yeah. Yep.
I bet he worked in an office, or she. I don't know who actually wrote it. If it was a guy or a girl.
Lewis Carroll, this guy. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm like, having worked in an office where people sometimes stole my lunch, maybe that was the moral lesson. Like, you don't know what bad stuff could happen to you if you steal their lunch.
Do not eat other people's food. You're welcome. Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so it sounds like this has got more on the bones for this universe than we have time for.
Yes.
And it wasn't a quick thing you promised me, so we're going to have to do another episode.
Oh, no.
Where we dive into that. Maybe we can get, like, the other authors in the Hit World.
That would be so fun.
And that could be like a panel on the universe, and then potentially some of the standalone books we could do separate episodes. But I will get with you after the show because they don't need to see us pull our Rolodexes and calendars out. It's boring. Boring. And because it's like a spreadsheet and Excel and Google, like people, it bores me. So we'll definitely have to have some of those people on because it sounds interesting.
It's really fun.
That you kind of have the world that can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's danger of trying to do too much, so I'm curious to see how it all works out.
Yeah.
Is the main character in this one, because you did cover up her butt, so we don't know all of her, but is she feral?
She is so feral. She is very snarky. That is her way. The book is dedicated to anyone who meets hard times with humor. This is for you. So
see, when you showed the picture and the title, I'm thinking of that folk song Savage Daughter.
Oh, I love that song so much.
I'm not just saying it because they copyright it. I'm just saying that it's on point.
It's a great song. Yeah,
absolutely. Walking barefooted. Like I can appreciate. Although I have been in nature and like stones are sharp, wood cuts you.
I have very delicate little feet. Yeah.
Right, and the people that do the barefooted thing, like you see, like they've got a lifetime of like building those calluses.
Yes. Yeah.
Give me my moccasins, give me my sneakers, whatever. I want shoes.
I have very soft feet. Yes, I love to be. We were just in Acadia National Park last week.
Cool.
I love being outside.
And I mean, if you get soft golf course grass, I'm totally down for barefoot.
Yeah, yeah, I could walk on that probably.
Not it's sand though. Sand you don't, because that like keeps the heat. Like I live in a beach town, so you burn your feet that way. Like no, my poor tootsies. No, I'm wearing sandals.
That's fair. That is fair. I love it.
All right. So this is the part, dear listener, where I remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right book. So it really does make a difference, people, especially for the indie and small press guys like Marisa's previously mentioned Hit World novel. Obviously, I mean, Baen likes the reviews too, but it's even more important for some of the from the newer and the small press guys. So do your part, people. Leave a review. With that, if they wanted to stalk you on the internet, as one does, so you could throw alligators at them, how might they find you?
Oh, my alligator's in the other room. marisawolf.net or marisawolf.com. I go both ways. You can also come hang out with me on Facebook or Instagram. I mostly get stuck in the Instagram reel hole and don't always post my own things, but I promise that will change someday, probably.
Okay. All right. You can, and all this will obviously be in the show notes, and we'll link to Baen and all the cool things about Baen, because we're doing that for all the Baen authors we are interviewing. But you can find us on our link tree at linktr.ee linktree/Blasters and Blades podcast. Again, linktree/Blasters and Blades podcast, where we link to all the things: the bits, shoots, the rumbles, the YouTubes, the TikToks, the Twitters, the Spotify, the Discord, the Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. We have our email, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. For professional purposes only, people say the shenanigans from Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. These episodes aren't free to produce, and every penny counts, and we appreciate your patronage. If you put it in the comments that it is for the podcast, I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee brand coffee till it pours out of their eyeballs, and we float away on a river of Java goodness, people. I played Candyland as a kid. I know it only ends in great places. If you want some of that in your life, the link is in the show notes. The code is podcast Grunt. You get 10% off. We get a little bit of a kickback. It's a win-win, people. And with that, I would like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time. We'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. Thank you for coming on, Marisa. This was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. I love it.
All right. And with that, we're going to hit the end button. Don't cuss yet, Marisa. Wait for it.